Bloomberg's wealth gives him options his rivals don't enjoy. Washington, AP. There are many questions surrounding Michael Bloomberg's potential presidential candidacy. Whether he'll have enough money to sustain a lengthy and bruising campaign is not one of them. The billionaire former New York City mayor opened the door this week to a potential Democratic White House bid, prompting an avalanche of criticism from would-be rivals who say he wants to use his vast wealth to buy the presidency. Swell. Another billionaire thinking that the Democratic nomination is for sale, said Montana Governor Steve Bullock, another 2020 candidate. Here's the problem with big money in politics. It just never stops. Progressives who believe the wealthy have outsized influence in politics have pushed Democratic White House hopefuls to reject big money in politics, and they've had considerable success. So far, the cash race has been celebrated as a triumph of small-dollar grassroots contributors, who have fueled the campaigns of Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, over big-dollar donors in the Democratic establishment. Bloomberg, whose fortune Forbes estimates to be more than $50 billion, doesn't need either. And his successful campaigns for mayor of New York are proof. Now a Democrat, Bloomberg secured re-election as a Republican in 2005 after burying his opponents under an $84 million mountain of his own cash. 4 years later, he invested even more, outspending his rivals by at least 10-1 after plunging $108 million into his race. That's more than what the top 3 grossing fundraisers in the primary, Warren of Massachusetts, Sanders of Vermont, and South Bend, Indiana, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, have spent in the race so far. Underscoring the opportunities afforded by his wealth, Bloomberg plans to skip early voting states including Iowa and New Hampshire if he launches a presidential bid and instead focus on the states that vote on Super Tuesday. That allows him to compete fiercely in expensive media markets like those in California, the biggest prize of the March 3 contests. He can also hire staff and build infrastructure while his potential rivals still have most of their resources tied up in the traditional early voting states. Money alone, however, doesn't guarantee votes. Tom Steyer, another billionaire businessman in the race, has struggled to break out of low single-digit polling despite investing at least $47 million in the race. If money was everything, Tom Steyer would be in double digits, said former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rental, who supports former Vice President Joe Biden, who relies on big-dollar donors and has lagged in fundraising behind Warren and Sanders. To his detractors, Bloomberg is the embodiment of the power wielded by the wealthy. But his defenders insist that his finances and background on Wall Street don't mitigate. For more on this story, visit the news article link.